Shohei Ohtani wins his third unanimous MVP. We're taking a look at the Dodgers roster, a 40-man roster crunch. Who are some DFA candidates, guys they could trade? LA agrees to a new deal with Dustin May. We've got the latest Dodgers rumors. So much more here on a live episode of Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You guys wanted a parade? We got a parade! The Dodgers punch back. What happened to the championship? Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 clock. Milky Magic. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone! Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. Everything you need to know about your boys in blue in less than an hour. My name is Doug McKain, credentialed member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Now, if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor. Subscribe to the #1 Dodgers YouTube show, #1 podcast. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. If you really want to do me a favor, hit that like button for your world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm wearing my parade snapback today. Love this one. Rocking it all around town, man. This is a big day. Every day celebrating this World Series title. Of course, every episode begins with our poll question of the show. And I asked you guys over on X, should the Dodgers move Dustin May to the bullpen? And right now, 86% of you say yes, and 14% of you say no. That's a pretty overwhelming result so far. We'll update on that later. Of course, I got Tony Taters, as always, super producer. Tony Taters, Tony Tallboy, whatever you want to call him. He's looking for your super chats. He's looking for your comments of the show. We want all your takes on all things Dodger baseball and all the topics we're going to get into. Also, if you have a question that you want me to answer later in the show for the 7th inning stretch, drop that down below. But of course, every episode of Dodgers Dugout Live starts with the leadoff.
Leading off, the hottest story in Dodger baseball.
So the hottest story in Dodger baseball is that the Dodgers have re-signed and brought back Dustin May. The Dodgers agreed to a 1-year, $2.135 million deal with Dustin May. And we're going to talk about D-May. What is his future? Because time has flown by. And believe it or not, Dustin May is going to be a free agent after the 2025 season. And he's dealt with a slew of injuries, had Tommy John a couple years ago, and then he suffered a right flexor pronator strain on May 17th a couple years ago, had that injection, a PRP injection on his elbow. Then he was shut down. Then he was sent to the 60-day IL. Then ultimately he had a flexor tendon repair and a repair of his Tommy John surgery. So it wasn't a full-blown Tommy John, but he does have the injury-prone label that's been placed on him. And Dustin May has all the talent in the world. When he's right, he has all-star level potential. He has frontline starter potential. And you look at how he fared in his 9 starts back in 2023, he had a 2.63 ERA. He had a 3.34 expected ERA in 9 starts that season, 34 strikeouts to 16 walks in 48 innings. I predicted he was going to make the all-star team before that season had begun. Unfortunately, the injury bug sunk its teeth into Dustin May once again. And then this year, he was getting back to throwing. He had resumed his throwing program at Camelback Ranch in May. He was throwing bullpen sessions, and he was hoping to return at some point later this past season. I talked to Dustin May, and he was confident that he was going to be back on the mound and hopefully be a weapon that could help this team. But unfortunately, he suffered an esophagus injury. I mean, he tore his esophagus, essentially. He had emergency surgery to repair his esophagus that prevented him from physical activity for 2 months. So thankfully, he got medical attention for that immediately. He ended up calling the Dodgers, and the Dodgers told him to get that treated right away. He had surgery on it, and that is the most important thing, that he's okay, because that could have been very bad. Thankfully, he got the help that he needed, and he had pain in his throat. He had pain in his stomach. It was a freak accident. It's not like he was doing anything wrong or anything like that. It was a truly freak accident there, and that definitely pushed him back. So the question is, what version of Dustin May are we going to get? Because, like I said, his flashes have been so high that you say to yourself, man, D May could be a superstar in this game. We had the pitching ninja, Rob Friedman, on the show last month, and I asked him, I was like, hey, who are your top guys? Who are the top guys that you posted as far as getting likes, as far as getting engagement? Who are those guys? He gave me two names, Blake Trinan and Dustin May. Because, like I've said on the show, stuff moves more than military family. That two-seam fastball, more run than a marathon. I mean, it's absolutely filthy stuff, but he has yet to even pitch more than 200 innings. 191 and 2/3 innings. That's how many innings he's thrown in his big league career. He's made just 20 starts over the past 4 seasons. And the question that I have, as far as it pertains to next year's team, is, one, baseball gods are going to let us see this guy pitch? Are you going to give this guy an opportunity to show what he has? And what are the Dodgers going to do with Dustin May? Are they going to maybe trade him? Are they going to give him another shot to be a starter? Because right now, with that 6-man roster, Shohei Ohtani won't be back to start the year. Tyler Glasnow back, Yamamoto back. They're interested in Blake Snell. He's their number one guy in free agency. Blake Snell, Corbin Burns showed some interest in Max Fried. They want Roki Sasaki. Tony Gonsolin is back. You have a lot of those young arms. I'm not ready to write out Bobby Miller. You have Landon Ackben, Kasperius, Justin Robleski. So where does he fit into that mix? Because the best thing for Dustin may ultimately be a move to the bullpen. Because clearly at this point, look, you have one Tommy John surgery. The odds are you're going to get 6 years, maybe 7 years out of that. He wasn't even able to get that. Clearly his body cannot sustain his throwing and the torque he puts on that 3/4 arm delivery. It's a lot on the body to throw like that. He has told me in the past, he just grips it and rips it. That's what he does. So if you're Dustin May, what would you rather have? Be an injury-prone starting pitcher that continues to have surgeries? Because if he has one more major one, he might have to retire, right? I mean, that's just the truth of this. But if he moves to the bullpen and you still get his nasty stuff, you're looking at mid to upper 90s, occasional triple-digit heat, nasty secondaries. He can induce soft contact and he misses barrels. What if he moves to the bullpen or in some sort of a hybrid role, a multi-inning type of pitcher that is growing in popularity? I mean, what if he becomes the next Andrew Miller, right? The next Josh Hader, right? I don't think he has quite the dominant stuff of a Josh Hader, but he certainly still has a place in this game. You cannot, when stuff is that nasty, well, you can go through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pitchers and not get to a guy that can throw stuff like Dustin May. That's why I'm not trading him. I'm keeping him on my roster because I want to see how he looks in every kind of role. If it's not as a starter, maybe a back-end starter. If it's not as a frontline guy, maybe a 4, 5, 6 guy. If it's not as a starting pitcher, maybe a multi-inning reliever. Not a multi-inning reliever, okay, a 1-inning reliever. But he's too talented to give up on. Dustin Mania, hopefully at some point we're going to see it. And now let's transition to the 40-man roster. Because the 40-man roster is interesting when you look at it, because the Dodgers are certainly going to have a roster crunch at some point, because right now they have 38 guys on that 40-man roster. The 60-day IL guys, you can't transfer them until spring training. Guys like Brusdar Graterol, Clayton Kershaw, is going to re-sign, and he'll probably be placed on the 60-day IL. So that's going to be the big question. Guys like Kyle Hurt, I mean, they have a lot of candidates to be moved over, but you just look at where that is right now, right? Yeah, Brusdar Graterol, he just had the shoulder surgery. He'll be back hopefully midway or a little after midway through the season. Clayton Kershaw, 2 surgeries. They're not going to rush him back. He hasn't signed yet because he's probably going to wait up until close to February. He'll sign. He'll get placed on the 60-day IL. And then you look at the guys they want to re-sign. So 38 spots being filled right now, and you want to bring back Teoscar Hernandez, Kike Hernandez, Clayton Kershaw, he'll be assigned 60-day, Blake Trinan, Walker Buehler, talk some Buehler, is a team that's interested in him, Roki Sasaki, which you don't have to put on the 40-man roster, and then you got some DFA candidates that we could talk about. So you also have Blake Snell, Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Garrett Crochet. So like I've said on the show for weeks now, I think the plan for the Dodgers is you got the aces that you got coming back. You got Glasnow, Yamamoto, Yoshinobu Yamamoto's back, and Glasnow's back, and Shohei Ohtani's going to be back. Then you want one of the top 3 free agents, Blake Snell, Corbin Burns, Max Fried, and then you want to sign Roki Sasaki. And then Garrett Crochet. So they're not going to get all those guys. They'd be lucky to get 2 of those guys. But like I said before, I'd be shocked if they didn't get one of Snell, Fried, Burns, or Crochet. And then Sasaki, I know what Mr. Joe Wolf said, his agent, who's really in savior you-know-what mode because he doesn't want to look like he's tampering or anything like that. He got extremely defensive, and I think that's because, hey, we're on to you, Joe Wolf, okay? So you look at the DFA candidates. Who's staying, who's going? So let's take a look at this roster as it stands. So Anthony Bonda, talked to him a couple days ago. He loves being a Dodger. He appreciates his role in this organization, and I'm very excited about his future. He has no options left, but they love him. He's good against left, good against right. You have another lefty that can hit 97 as a back foot slider. He'll be back. Ryan Brazier is an interesting one to me because Ryan Brazier in 2023, I mean, he was an absolute revelation for the Dodgers. He was that year's Chris Martin, right? He was someone they picked up, and then he ends up being one of the best relievers in the game. And that season, it was him, Evan Phillips, and Brusdar Graterol for the 2023 season that were outstanding. And then the Dodgers, they brought him back. They signed him to a $13 million deal. I mean, it's $9 million guaranteed for a 2-year deal, but he can earn up to $13 million in incentives. And he did not have the best year this year. Ryan Brazier's numbers were down. He was injured, had that calf injury that sidelined him for a long stretch. He ended up only pitching 28 innings this season, had a 3.54 ERA, but he did come along late. And in the postseason, he definitely was valuable. In the postseason, they certainly needed him. He ended up pitching 2 innings in the World Series, and he gave up 1 run. He gave up 2 runs in 3 1/3 innings against the Mets. He gave that home run early to Francisco Lindor in game 2. And then he pitched in the Padres series as well. He gave up 2 runs in 3 2/3 innings. So this season, his stuff wasn't as great. And I still think he's most likely going to be back, but he certainly is one of those candidates that you trade early instead of having them late. We saw Andrew Friedman do this a couple years ago with Dylan Floro, right? You can trade relievers that are on your roster to try to get some high upside candidates that you don't have to have on the 40-man roster. They got Kyle Hurt. Kyle Hurt ended up looking really good. And you also got Alex Vesia, who's been their best left-handed reliever for years. So anytime it's one of the older under contract relievers for the Dodgers, it's always a possibility that they get moved. And then Jack Dreyer. Jack Dreyer was the only guy they protected in the Rule 5 draft, though. He's going to be back. He's got high-level stuff. Nick Frasso coming off that shoulder injury. He had surgery. They're going to want to see what they have in him because they are very high internally on Nick Frasso, and you don't want to trade him right now just because You want to see what he's good at. I mean, you want to see what kind of role he can have. You want to see his upside and his potential. If you're a team out there too, it's a buy low guy, right? So you don't want to sell him low if you're the Dodgers. So I don't anticipate them trading Nick Frasso. Tony Gonsolin, I spoke to him the other day. He told me he's 100% heading into this season. Had the eye of the tiger. Tony Gonsolin told me he wasn't upset to ask him if he was a little upset that the bullpen was called the Dogs, not the Cats. He said, no, man, those guys were dogs out there. Those guys were killing it. And I think he's going to be valuable. I like the fact that they didn't rush him back and that he's post-surgery. And I'm expecting him to contribute. No one's talking about Tony Gonsolin. I think Tony Gonsolin's going to have a really solid year for the Dodgers in 2025. So he'll be back. Michael Grove. Could it be Grover for Michael? He has one more option. They could DFA him. They could move him. He has upside as a reliever. I mean, he could pump 97s, got the curve, got the slider. I think he's more of a depth piece at this point than someone that's a serious candidate to make the opening day roster, especially with a 6-man rotation. So keep your eye on him as a potential trade option, as a DFA option too. One more option. So does have that one option. So that's definitely a value. Then Brent Honeywell. So Brent Honeywell is the most fascinating one to me because he has his ups, has his downs. He's kind of not a high leverage guy, but he provides value because he can go multiple innings. I mean, you saw last season that he's kind of got that dog mentality that's past just what he does on the mound. I mean, a lot of people in the organization give him some credit for getting Mookie Betts back in the NLDS. He threw batting practice to Mookie Betts, and he was telling Mookie to hit as hard and as far as he could. And he also kind of died on the sword a couple times in the NLCS when he got absolutely rocked and threw a career high in pitches against the Mets. Well, someone had to eat those innings, right? Someone had to eat those innings and keep the dogs fresh so they can do what they did. And Brent Honeywell got a lot of credit from his teammates. In the Mets series, he had one game in the 7-3 loss. In the 7-3 loss in game 2, he threw 57 pitches. And then in the game 5 loss, where the Dodgers lost 12-6, he threw 67 pitches. Then he pitched once in the World Series, went 1 inning, gave up 5 earned runs, and he threw 50 pitches. So he was sacrificing a lot for the betterment of this team. The question is, what role do you see for him next season? I'm not so sure that if they get everyone they want to get, that there is going to be a role for him on the 26-man, because he's a DFA candidate. I mean, they already DFA'd him once, right? In August, they DFA'd him, and they outrighted him to AAA OKC a couple days later. So the question with Brent Honeywell is, do you DFA him, and maybe he doesn't get picked up by any other team, and then you can have him back as a non-roster invite for spring training? And once you have a little better, clear picture of how the roster is shaping up and how many guys you're going to throw on the 60-day IL, then if spots open up, you can throw him back on that 40-man roster. So that's another option for him too. I want to see Honeywell. I want to fear the turtleneck, right? I love me the turtleneck, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do for him. But I think the fact that the Dodgers respect him, they know what he does. It's not kind of one of those things for him like, oh, let's see what his potential is. Let's see his upside. They know exactly what he is, man. He's a screwball pitcher. He can go out there. He has his moments where he's effective. And then, yeah, he's not going to be your high leverage guy in big spots, but he certainly provides value. Then Landon Knack, he's got options. He's going to be on the show next week. So there's no way he's getting DFA'd. He's got the Dodgers Dugout Live karma. The only way he's off this team is if he gets traded in a deal like they did with Ryan Pepio, where he was traded to the Rays in the Tyler Glasnow deal. But I think Landon Knack, I mean, he's so solid as a 4, 5, 6 type of starter. I think he doesn't get the credit that he deserves because he could be nasty at times too. I mean, look, he had a better year than Bobby Miller did last season. And then you got Zach Logue. So Zach Logue, hopefully you guys don't think I'm making names up, because Zach Logue That'll be a trivia question. Name one of the most random Dodgers from their 2024 World Series winning team. Zach Logue's the man. You could bring him back on a minor league deal if you DFA him, or he could just be gone. I mean, Zach Logue pitched in 2 games. He pitched in the Miami series in September. He gave up a home run. He's certainly a DFA candidate. And then on the position player side, there's some interesting ones. I think the number one for me is Hunter Fiducia. I mean, he's already 27. It's closer to 30 than it is to 20. Do you just do him a solid and trade him to an organization that has a clear, defined role for him? Because Austin Barnes is back. You just signed Will Smith to that extension before the 2024 season. Hunter Fiducia deserves an opportunity to play. He would be playing as a backup catcher for a lot of organizations in Major League Baseball. So I hope that they set him free. James Outman, do they trade him? Do they keep him for depth? Chris Taylor, CT3, still's got $16 million left on his contract. They would have to include him in a deal where they would have to pay down a lot of money and absorb most of that contract. But something tells me, just talking to people, it just doesn't feel like they would move off of Chris Taylor just because of how respected he is in this organization. The fact that you just don't have a dead asset like that, and he's just really not in a position to provide any value. So, yeah, you look at the DFA candidates, you look at the players on the roster, there's some moves to be made, and all this stuff will shape itself out, but you are going to have to find some space if you're going to go out there and bring some of these guys back, the Teos, the Trinans, and then you're going to have to make some room for free agency as well. I mean, there could be some other names that we're not talking about that they're interested in. I mean, Juan Soto, do they dip back into that? Does he fall into their lap? I don't think he is. I don't predict that he will be a Dodger, but the Dodgers are going to be opportunistic. And then I do think they're going to be hot on one of the top level starters, and that would require another roster spot. But coming up next, some Dodgers rumor roundup. A team that Walker Buehler owned in the postseason is interested in signing him. That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live. What up, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here to remind you that if you have not yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Dugout Live podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast. So if you want to listen to the show in audio form, when you're driving to Dodger Stadium, when you're driving from Dodger Stadium, when you're commuting to work, wherever it is, you definitely want to lock into the podcast. We're going to start featuring some podcast exclusives, interviews. So definitely, even if you do watch the show daily on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Dugout Live podcast wherever your podcast. So be sure to do that. It really supports the channel. And as always, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out. And welcome back to Dodgers Dugout Live here on a Friday edition of the show. Also, if you haven't yet, guys, I got some World Series merch on, but you can never have enough. Go to gearup.la right now. Mookie talked about it during the podcast. He said that Kike's motto, WDGAF, we don't give an F. Really? I mean, he was kind of referencing how big of a motto that was. Go pick that shirt up. You got the What Are They Gonna Say Now Walker Buehler poster. He's doing the pose after he struck out Alex Verdugo. You have the Gibby Meet Freddie shirt. This shirt's incredible. I've watched this 10 trillion times already, but you got to remember history. And Gibby versus Freddie, Gibby meets Freddie, that's the shirt to get. There's also some other cool shirts there. The Mookie 8-bit one. You got the Three Sisters shirt. Go to gearup.la, the best Dodgers merch in the game. And a little update on our poll question. Because, I mean, the thought of Dustin May as a reliever is definitely exciting. 85%, his number, there you go. 85% say yes and 15% say no. Let's get into some chats right here. Pile Sky. Don't care if Dustin May is a starter or closer or something in between as long as he stays healthy. Dancy, Dev Bullpen for Dustin May. We got Exodus, keep Catman, goodbye to Grover. We got David Cadell Music, May and bullpen, yes, allows using starters less innings during the regular season. Save them for the playoffs. Martin Troop, Dustin May can replace Evan Phillips and be a top level reliever. That's a hot take right there. I'm gonna give you a little fire take for that one. We got Brianna Rochelle, drop Brazier and look at someone else on the market. Tim T. Yeah, I mean, You got Tanner Scott out there. I mean, there are some high leverage guys that are on the market. Tim, and then I didn't have to face Ohtani because Ohtani's been electric, but against Tanner Scott, he has his issues. Tim T says, I don't think trading Dustin May is an option now. His value is low now. Maybe if they can showcase him and if he stays healthy, he could be a part of a trade at the deadline. It's a good take right there. It's a good take. I like that. Take me a little let's go Dodgers. BT Foul said May gets himself right. He could be an elite closer. Awesome. So guys, keep coming with those questions, and later for the 7th inning stretch, we'll answer all of your questions. Now, we got a little Dodgers rumor roundup, starting with a rumor that the New York Yankees, are interested in signing Walker Buehler.
Well, let's start with Buehler. And what an amazing story it would be if Buehler winds up pitching in 2025, where he threw this final pitch of the World Series in 2024. I've been told there is at least some mutual interest between Walker Buehler and the New York Yankees. And while that would be an amazing storyline, certainly it's not unprecedented that you would see someone join a team that they vanquished in the World Series the previous year. Now, here's what Walker did in the playoffs. He got better as October went along. We know this, the New York Yankees, with some comings and goings in their rotation, they are looking for rotation help.
So Walker Buehler on the Yankees, hey, if you can't beat him, sign him. That's the Yankees mentality. And look, I think if you're Walker Buehler and you got teams like the Yankees out there interested in you, the question is, does Walker Buehler have more than just a 1-year prove-it deal out there? Something that's more than just a 1-year $15 million deal or a 2-year $30-something million deal with a player option after the first year that will allow him to get out of that deal, because teams operate on recency bias a lot. And like we talked about on the last show, his fastball is back. The swing and miss is up. He's figured out that knuckle curve. The sweeper has been a plus pitch for him. I think if I'm a team out there and I'm sending my analytics department and my baseball ops department to look at his stuff in the postseason, yes, it is a small sample size, but he looks so much better in the postseason than he did in the regular season. It makes you wonder that, hey, if we sign Buehler to a 1-year deal, he always says that he takes his game to a new level in the postseason, that under the bright lights, it's just different. Well, how about the bright lights of an entire year where you're further removed from Tommy John surgery and you also are playing for a big contract? Every game should feel like a postseason game for Walker Buehler next season. And he said to Mookie Betts on his podcast, hey, in the regular season, I sucked. I was bad. But now I'm a problem. So Walker Buehler's saying he's a problem, right? And I just don't want to see him be a problem for the Dodgers if they're facing the Yankees again in the World Series. So I firmly want to see Walker Buehler back with the Dodgers, because when you look at the length of that contract and what they're going to be paying potentially Blake Snell, Corbin Burns, Max Fried, 1 year, 15 to 20 million, something in that range. I mean, they didn't offer him the qualifying offer for a reason, because they thought they could probably get him back for less. And the qualifying offer was a little over $21 million. Walker Buehler at 15, I think he's a steal. I think he's a bargain. So there's interest. I'm telling you, there's a lot of interest about Walker Buehler, because he's not looking for $100+ million like the elite pitchers that are available this offseason. He's not looking for that. He knows that as good as he pitched in the postseason, that he would pitch so poorly. I mean, he was like a negative 1.8 WAR pitcher in the regular season. I mean, he was awful. He said it himself. He's out to prove that I'm back. So will it be the Yankees? That's interesting. Now, next rumor we're going to get into. Next rumor is about Cody Bellinger, because all of you guys are hitting me up on the X. All you guys hitting me up on IG. D-Mac, should we trade for Cody Bellinger? Bring back Belly. I always say this. Nostalgia is hell of a drug, because Cody Bellinger, love the guy. I'm always going to be a Belly-ever. You guys know that when he was a Dodger, I was his biggest fan. MVP in 2019. Big-time moments, robbing Fernando Tatis Jr. of his lunch money. The rob job in 2020. The game-winning home run in Game 7 of the 2020 NLCS against the Braves off of Chris Martin. I mean, that's a legendary Dodgers moment. I love me some Cody Bellinger, but he doesn't make sense for this Dodgers team, and I'll tell you why. He's under contract for $52.5 million for the next 2 seasons. The Cubs can buy out that contract, but compared to what's left, you would still be on the hook for a lot of money. So basically, how it works is Cody Bellinger opted into his contract for the 2025 season. That guaranteed him $27.5 million for 2025. The next year, Belly can opt out again. If he does that, he'll get a $5 million buyout. If he opts in again, he won't get the $5 million, but he will get $25 million for 2026. So any team that wants Cody Bellinger is going to have to give him at least $32.5 million for this year and the buyout, or if he stays for both years, $52.5 million. For Cody Bellinger, that's not good value. Cody Bellinger is not the guy that won the 2019 MVP. He's a good player. He's not a great player, and he also has dealt with injuries now. He's had a tough time staying on the field as much as you would want. Now, the Dodgers do need outfielders, and he still is an above-average outfielder. It's not elite, but he is above average. But last season, he hit .266, had a 109 weighted runs created plus. He played in 130 games, which is fine, but 9% above league average at potentially over $50 million. Now, in 2023, he had a good year. Played 130 games, hit .307, had a 136 weighted runs created plus, hit 26 home runs, but he's not a threat to hit 35 to 40 plus home runs anymore. In 2019, he hit 47 with the Dodgers. His rookie year, when he won Rookie of the Year, he hit 39. With the Cubs, he hit 26 in 2023, and he hit 18 in 2024. He sacrificed that power for more contact, and if you look at the hard hit rate on his batted ball profile, it doesn't match what the Dodgers need at that position. I mean, if you look at his expected slug, it's in the 43rd percentile. Average exit velocity, 23rd percentile. Barrel percentage, 6.3%, 32 percentile. Hard hit rate, 15th percentile, 32.9%. Bat speed is in the 13th percentile. He does still chase. It's in the 23rd percentile in chase rate. Now, he doesn't strike out a ton now. He's in the 85th percentile in strikeout rate. He strikes out at a 15.6% clip. But, yeah, nostalgia is hell of a drug. I don't want to see the Dodgers trade for Cody Bellinger. Like I always said, I mean, you do not want to reheat those McDonald's French fries. They'll never taste the same. They only taste great. You pull through that drive-through, you put your hand through the bag, and you put half of those French fries in your face. That's when they're the best. When they're super hot, we're like, you're just breathing. They're salty. And you got to search the bottom of the bag for some of them. That's when the McDonald's French fries are great. Not when you take them home and you like fall asleep and you're like, oh, let me microwave these. They don't taste good. I want to remember Cody Bellinger when the McDonald's French fries were hot, right? He was actually good in helping this team. So the truth is, he doesn't make a ton of sense for this team. I'd much rather see them go bring back Teoscar Hernandez, find a solution for the shortstop spot. If it's Tommy Edman, you do have a hole in center field, but you do have the option of also having Edman there, and then we'll see what they do with Mookie Betts and Gavin Lux at the shortstop spot. You have Miguel Rojas back. Do you sign Willy Adames? Andy Pages didn't play a great center field, but offensively, if he hits, it's not the worst option. So for me, that's a no for me. I don't want to see the Dodgers trade for Cody Bellinger. We got a Freedom Super Chat 499. Is Belly Bomb up for sale? If we don't get Teo, I miss rocket shot launcher and a very good defensive outfielder. Yeah, see, you guys think of the belly bombs, but those belly bombs aren't as frequent, right? They're diffusing a lot of those belly bombs. There's been a lot of bomb diffusers in Major League Baseball. It's just not the same. Philip Fountain, $52 million for Cody. That's a lot of belly fat. Yeah, and you don't want it to be a belly flop, right? For that price. So I'm with you. Love me some Cody Bellinger. Like I said, I mean, Ken Rosenthal wrote in his recent piece of The Athletic about Cody Bellinger, they could keep Bellinger and have plenty of versatility, but there's also a chance to upgrade another area by trading him. With a price tag of $32.5 million, what the Cubs can get for Bellinger remains unclear. There has been interest in Bellinger on the trade market since the summer of 2023. The value of a potential return has certainly dipped since that point when he was performing at an all-star level. The Cubs might need to take back an inflated contract or accept marginal prospects in a deal. So just look at that right there. The cost isn't going to be explosive. They likely would have to take back a bad contract, right? I mean, and no, they're not taking back Chris Taylor for Cody Bellinger or not top prospects. They're looking to shed salary with Cody Bellinger, not looking at him as a major asset, because that's not how he's viewed around the league. So love me some Belly, but I don't want to see the Dodgers trade for him. I'd much rather go the route that we're on right now, trying to bring back Teoscar Hernandez. But hey, it still hurts that they still does hurt that they non-tendered him. But it's Scott Boras, it's the money. It's just doesn't make sense right now. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani's MVP season, some more rumors, but we're debuting a new segment here today called DFA of the Day. And you guys can send me these on X too. If you see someone you just want me to DFA for the day, it's kind of like our version of Donkey of the Day. And this comes from a Yankees podcaster that had this take about the Dodgers before the start of the World Series.
Dodgers fans, come back to this video when the Yankees absolutely demolish you in the World Series. All that money for Ohtani, but you had to deal with the judge, jury, and executioner. Stanton absolutely owns your organization now.
Wow. He says that the Yankees were going to demolish the Dodgers. The only thing that got demolished was the baseball that Nestor Cortez threw to Freddie Freeman, and he hit it into the right field pavilion as the first walk-off grand slam in World Series history. That take aged like 7-Eleven sushi in the sun. The Yankees got demolished by the Dodgers. It was a gentleman's sweep. The defense for the Yankees was bad. He was talking about the judge, jersey, executioner. How was the execution on that defense? How was the execution there? And saying that Aaron Judge was going to demolish the Dodgers, I think he misjudged this series like Aaron Judge misjudged that ball in the fifth inning that led to that choke job collapse there in the fifth. So the Dodgers didn't get demolished, my friend. The Dodgers did the demolishing. So, yeah, I mean, look, I get it. He's your guy, Aaron Judge. He won the MVP unanimously. All rise. Truth is, Aaron Judge did not rise to the occasion against the Dodgers. Hit 222, dropped the ball there in the fifth inning. And yeah, Yankees fans, they're still hurting, man. Yankees fans are still hurting there. So that's our DFA of the day. Bruh. So next topic we're going to get into, you guys know about Shohei Ohtani's MVP. And we talked a lot about Shohei Ohtani. He's broken down the numbers, but I still want to give him his flowers one more time because I was doing a lot of reliving the best Shohei Ohtani moments from his MVP season with the Dodgers. And he does win unanimously. He takes all 30 first place votes. It was the third time in his career that he won the MVP in unanimous fashion. He did it in 2021 and 2023. Hell, if it weren't for Aaron Judge hitting 62, he would have 4 unanimous MVPs. He joins Frank Robinson as the only player to win MVP in both leagues, and Ohtani just the 8th player in big league history to win an MVP with multiple teams. He started 159 games for the Dodgers at designated hitter, becomes the first DH in history to win the MVP. Don Baylor, he won the MVP in the American League in 1979, did make 65 starts for the Angels that year at DH, but he also started 97 games in the outfield. So Ohtani, the first ever primary DH to win the MVP. There's only been 23 unanimous MVPs in big league history, and Ohtani is the only player to do it twice. And now he's done it 3 times. So, I mean, this guy's making history left and right. Lead the National League in essentially every category. Shohei led the National League in home runs, 54. RBIs 130, runs scored 134, on base percentage 390, slugging percentage 646, a 1,036 OPS, a 190 OPS plus, a 181 weighted runs created plus, 411 total bases, 99 extra base hits, a 9.2 R-WAR, a 9.1 F4. He also finished second in the senior circuit with a 310 batting average. And he stole 59 bases on top of that. Not bad for an injured pitcher making $2 million. Pretty incredible season, if you ask me. It goes deeper than that. How do I link this with the Dodgers? Well, move over Mike Piazza. Some of your childhood heroes. Love me some Mike Piazza too back in the day. Growing up as a little kid in South Pasadena running these streets. Loving me some Mike Piazza. Well, yes, Ohtani's 646 slugging percentage. That set a new Dodgers record. Who'd he pass? Gary Sheffield. Sheffield had a 643 slugging percentage in 2000. Also had a 9.2 B-WAR. That's the highest in Dodgers history. The previous high was Mike Piazza's 9 that he set in 1997. So the previous highest WAR in the history of the Dodgers for a single season was Piazza's 9 in 1997. Ohtani passes that as a DH with 9.2. Absolutely ridiculous. He has the franchise record now for the most RBIs in a single game with 10 RBIs in his 6-for-6 masterclass virtuoso performance where he had 3 home runs, had 5 extra base hits, stole 2 bases against the Marlins. He also has the most extra base hits in Dodgers history with 99. His 411 total bases also sets a new record. He absolutely obliterated Adrian Beltre's 376 total bases in 2004. And this one, he became the Dodgers single season home run king, passing Sean Green. Green had 49 in 2001. Ohtani 54 this year. Also has the most home runs at home, 28 home runs at Dodger Stadium. That's a new record. His 190 OPS plus, that tops Mike Piazza's 185 in 1997. 134 runs scored. That led all Major League Baseball. I mean, it just can go on and on. It's kind of my point here. It's just absolutely ridiculous, the history he made. But the thing I was looking for is, was it going to be unanimous? Was there going to be some silly, trying to be too cool for school writer that was going to give a vote to Francisco Lindor? Shohei Ohtani's 2024 season is going to be remembered until the end of time. Francisco Lindor's season is going to be remembered until the end of this month, if we're being completely honest. And that's no slight to Lindor. Lindor is really, really good, but he had a 6.9 WAR this season. If you look at the last MVP winners, I mean, it's 9.9, 8.2, 10.5, 7.7, 8.9. I mean, Harper shouldn't have beat Soto that year, by the way. Harper robbed Soto as MVP. See, that should have been Juan Soto. But still, I mean, come on now. He deserved the unanimous MVP. And here was the best part, is Clayton Kershaw, one of our GOATs, he helped give him the award. So we'll play that. Got the curse up there. We'll get to that for sure. And we'll get to that because really cool to see Clayton Kershaw about it.
2024 most valuable player goes to my teammate, Shohei Ohtani.
You got it?
Yeah. Stop it.
Clayton, is there anything else you'd like to say to Shohei Ohtani?
No, just congrats, Show. It was amazing to watch you play this year, and I can't wait to watch it.
You're the man. Clayton Kershaw, thank you so much for that.
Awesome stuff. Shohei Ohtani had Decoy there. Decoy's a superstar, man. Decoy, him, Amico. Guy just living his best life, man. And after Shohei, he spoke to the media, and he had some interesting stuff to say. They were asking him about his goal for this season, considering he wasn't pitching. He said, my goal was to be able to pitch and contribute offensively. The fact that I knew I wasn't going to be able to pitch this season just made me focus more on my offensive game. Fortunately, I was able to produce and get this award, which was very humbling. Now, the 2025 season for Shohei Ohtani is going to be interesting because he's going to be back on the mound. That's going to be one of the most pressing questions that he's going to be asked, because heading into the 2025 season, he still has to work his way through a long pitching rehab after undergoing elbow surgery in September of 2023. And now on top of that, he's got to get back to throwing because the labrum surgery, it's not going to impact his pitching because thankfully it wasn't to his throwing arm, but he's yet to face hitters during rehab, and it's going to push him from a timeline standpoint. It's going to push him back a little bit. So Ohtani is still trying to be ready for opening day, but here's what he said about his pitching goals and when he'll be ready in 2025. He said the goal is to be ready for opening day, and that includes hitting and pitching, but we are taking our time, obviously. I think we are going to take a little bit more time and be conservative, and we're going to make sure I'm healthy before I step back on the mound. So I liked hearing him say that his goal is to be ready for opening day, but he also acknowledged that they're going to take some more time and be a little conservative with that. So I think that Shohei Ohtani is going to be back sooner than later. I think May is probably more realistic, but we'll see. It's Shohei Ohtani. It's tough to predict because this guy's not from this planet. But now let's hit the seventh inning stretch. All your questions about your boys in blue, fire away.
The seventh inning stretch.
We got Ray Soto, the greatest day in baseball history. Was a great day. Shohei Ohtani, 6 for 6, go down in history. Martin Troop, 50-50. We got John, a super chat, $5. Appreciate that. Hey, D-Mac, do you think they are really going to let Teo go? And why did Dave Roberts finish in 7th place for manager of the year? Dustin in bullpen for sure. So the truth of the matter is that when it comes to winning the award for manager of the year, it's always going to be tough when you're on a team that has Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, and that you're expected to be a 100+ win team every single year. And that's unfortunately the problem that the Dave Roberts had, because if it was a award that included the postseason and what he had to do in the regular season to really get to 98 wins and finish with the best record in baseball despite having so many injuries, and you had the off the field stuff dealing with Ippei early on, you're working Shohei back into the lineup, you have an injury to Mookie Betts who has to miss 2 months of time, Freddie Freeman, he misses time due to his son Max. So yeah, I certainly think that it was a travesty, if we're being completely honest, and you follow this team the entire year, that he did not get a opportunity to at least be in the top 3. I mean, look, we get it. I mean, if we're being completely honest here, the manager of the year award goes to, okay, which team did we think was going to suck? They didn't suck that much, right? Let's be honest. And we know that the Brewers were a team that you lose Corbin Burns, right? You weren't expected to be a team that was going to contend for the postseason. They got into the postseason. They lose to the New York Mets. They almost beat that Mets team. So Pat Murphy of the Milwaukee Brewers certainly deserved that award. But here's the thing. Dave Roberts has won the award once. And I think the thing that hurts him is that the perception for this Dodgers team is cool. Like, I mean, you got keys to the Bentley. The truth is he's got to know how to drive it. And he's driven it to 2 World Series titles. So here, Pat Murphy can have the manager of the year, because Dave Roberts is going to be a Hall of Fame manager. Dave Roberts is going to Cooperstown. No one will ever wear 30 for the Dodgers ever again. So I think he'll gladly take that. I don't think Dave is bothered by that, just because how of the award works. But some more here. We got sports cards, report cards, 199 super chat. Sign Tim Tebow and make him a pitcher. It's a bruh. But I like that take. Tim Tebow, he's a slugger though. I mean, Tim Tebow, I don't think he wants to go full Shohei Ohtani, the Florida Gator. Martin Troop, 7th inning stretch. D-Mac, how did you, Tony Tater, and Noel meet? We are ready for the Dodgers Nation documentary. From Martin Troop. Well, I met Tony Taters at this office that we were in before because he was hired to be a producer. He's done an excellent job. He's killed the game. Tony Taters was asked to do a little video about Clayton Kershaw, and he cooked it up, and he did a great job. So we brought him on. We hired him, man. So I met him through Dodgers Nation. Same thing with Noel Sanchez. Noel Sanchez was hired by the people that run Dodgers Nation to be a social media content creator, and he's done a fantastic job. But yeah, Tony, how did we How do we meet? Any first impressions of me? I don't know.
Oh, dude, I just want to tell everybody watching, I was a fan watching this show for.
I'll tell you the play catch.
Yeah, so I actually have the clip right here. So a couple years ago, I went on Instagram, and let me just pop it up right here. So I hit up DMAC on Instagram.com, and I was like, love the consistent content, DMAC. I hope we can play catch one day. And DMAC gave me the hands up emojis, and I was fanboying out, and my dream came true. And this was before I worked here, and just a full circle moment, and I will cherish it forever. It's such a privilege and a pleasure to work here, and so many lifelong memories, meeting Fernando, Kershaw, a bunch of players, going to the parade with you, Doug. Like, I'll cherish these moments forever, and I owe it all to Dodgers Nation, and such a great time, and I'm glad I met you, and I'm glad you guys found me outside of the Home Depot parking lot, man. I was just kidding.
Man, you're great. No, I will say this about Antonio. He bleeds Dodger blue. He bleeds Dodger blue. I mean, it's not some guy who was like, oh, I want to work in sports. There's a job available for the Dodgers. Let me just fake the funk and research the Dodgers for 2 days and pretend like I'm a big fan. No, he bleeds Dodger blue. Funny story is we actually did end up playing catch with a baseball that I think Ryan McMahon gave him.
Yeah, that's right. I was at the Fernando number retirement ceremony. I was at the dugout club. I was wearing my Mexico WBC jersey, and Ryan McMahon was just looking for anybody that wasn't wearing a Dodgers jersey, and he just tossed that over. Got that right there. It was awesome.
Great story. And then we're playing catch with this baseball on concrete, and he overthrows me. Or I don't know if did I not catch it? He overthrow me.
Oh, I overthrew that.
Yeah, he airmailed that thing, baby, and it went onto the train tracks here in South Pass. And Antonio ran onto the train tracks to get his Ryan McMahon baseball. But no, Tony Taylor's the man. We got Ellis Shiva Jones. How about Bobby Miller? Does he have any future with the Dodgers? I certainly think he does. I certainly think that he dealt with injuries last season. He still has a ton of potential. You just have to find out what works for him. And I think he needs to take the next step mentally, physically, find what works for him. But his stuff, like Dustin May, is too good to give up on. And I certainly think that you go down the list of, okay, frontline starter, okay, no, okay, back end starter, okay, no, bullpen piece, okay, no, then you kind of make a decision. But yeah, as long as he stays healthy, his changeup really is his best pitch. Got the curve, got the slider, got a fastball that has some giddy up to it too, just a little flat, but the potential is certainly there. So I definitely think he has a future for this team. Ken Warm, DMAC, do you think Tony Gonsolin will be in the starting rotation? Ken Warm, I actually do. I do think that Tony Gonsolin is going to be back in the starting rotation. He'll be a part of the 6-man rotation. Talked to him a few days ago. He's excited to get to spring training. He's excited to get going. 7th inning start. We got KOG 386. How far above the CBT do you think the Dodgers are comfortable going? I mean, look, anytime you get past that Cohen tax level, you're already going to be paying that surcharge. And it's tough to say what their books look like, especially with the profit they made off of Shohei Ohtani and the fact that he's deferred 97% of that contract. But I think that it's more the years than it is the yearly CBT, because the truth is they've gone past the tax 4 consecutive years. They're going to be forfeiting international bonus pool money and draft picks. They're going to be paying a lot of money in CBT for the next couple of seasons. And that comes with the territory and the promises they made to not only Shohei Ohtani, but the fans and their organization. They see a dynasty. I don't think that's the way you should look at it. If they want Blake Snell, it's more like, okay, we want it for 3 or 4 years, not 5. If we bring back Teo, we want it for 3 or 4, not 5, right? They just don't want to limit their flexibility on the back end, and they don't want to give out too many long-term contracts. I think that is kind of what they're focused on. They'll live with premiums on shorter term deals to get high level talent, to avoid the back end of deals where players are out of their primes and those contracts start to hurt you. It's going to be very difficult to reset this CBT one way or the other, but they're rolling, man. They know this is a special era. Andrew Friedman has said that he wants to make this the golden age of Dodger baseball. So I think they're comfortable going way over on the right players, SW, $5. Appreciate that. Get a little comment of the show.
You win. Perfect.
Any thoughts on the free agent from the NPB, Tomoyoku Sugano, who had a dominant 2024 season in a career strikeout rate and walk rate, and a strikeout to walk better than Yamamoto, Imanaga, and Darvish? I mean, I think that their eyes are on Roki, but you're right. I mean, not a lot of people are talking about Sugano. The difference between him is, I mean, his age. I mean, he's 34, right? He's a little older. So he's been an innings eater. He definitely has really good stuff. But the Dodgers are kind of in the business of, okay, give us the high-level upside plays, because if it's not special, we've got guys that we think can produce on the back end, right? I mean, even a Landon Knack, even a Ben Kasperius, even who's got a lot of potential too. I mean, I think that they're in the market of, if we're going to bring guys in externally, they have to be able to be guys that can profile as frontline starters during this iteration, because last year was a little different, right? Because Ohtani was out. You brought in Glasnow and Yamamoto, but you also brought in a James Paxton. The year prior to that, you brought in Noah Syndergaard, someone that you just want to eat innings during the regular season. I don't see that with Tomoyuki. We got Ellis Shiva. Any ideas for the new first base coach? I've been kind of thinking about it, really, like, who would it be? That's kind of one of the first questions that I want to ask Dave Roberts about during the winter meetings. I kind of want to see someone that's been involved in the organization, someone that you could trust there. Because, I mean, Clayton McCullough, I mean, he was a star. He was really a star at the first base coach position. His camaraderie with Freddie Freeman, the helmet bumps with Shohei Ohtani. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that position. Do they go with someone young, someone more experienced? We saw, George Lombard. I mean, could someone like that could potentially be, would it be someone like that? So kind of the big question. Say hi, D-Mac, for me, Dodgers Nation. What's up, Will? We got Ray Soto. Who's the first free agent position and starting pitcher domino to fall? That's from Ray Soto. That's a really good question, because you really were hoping that one of those guys would kind of set the market. I think it's going to be Blake Snell. I think it will be Blake Snell, because Blake Snell waited until March 19th, deep into spring training, to sign with the Giants. He doesn't want to go through the process of a slow buildup that led to a slow start last season. If I had to pick, I'm going to pick Blake Snell, and then he'll kind of set the market, because Fried and Burns are younger, and then Sasaki is being pushed to the next posting window. So I don't think that. Martin, yo, D-Mac, you won't believe this, but I'm from Bakersfield. I just started working for Corbin Burns' mom at her house. I'm not even making things up. She's going to give me a signed ball from him. Well, hey, ask her where he's going to sign, and that's we can report it. We got D-Russ, D-Mac, educating us baseball junkies every day. Salute to your brother. Long live Dodger Blue. Appreciate it. How about Dodger Blue? A new song on Kendrick Lamar's album is called Dodger Blue. Yeah, Kendrick Lamar dropped his new album today. There you go. And yeah, there's a song called Dodger Blue on there. He's got a lyrics that don't say you hate LA if you don't travel past the 10. So let me know if you guys have bumped that. Would you give that a 10? All right, for the walk-off today, a little fun story about Dodger baseball. We got to talk about the Freddie Freeman baseball that's going to be auctioned off. So Freddie Freeman's Grand Slam balls are going to be auctioned off, and it could bring life-changing money to a family in Venice. So Zachary Rutterman, he was told by his parents the day of the World Series Game 1, he was told by his parents on the day of the World Series Game 1 that he could leave his 5th grade class early because he had an orthodontist appointment to get his braces removed. So they go up to him and say, hey, Zach, we're taking out of class early to get your braces removed. And instead, his dad, Nico, shows him tickets to Game 1 of the World Series. So no orthodontist. Instead, he goes to the World Series. They're in the right field pavilion. Freddie Freeman hits his walk-off grand slam, and the ball rolled from the seat in front of him to the ground at his feet, and he ends up batting it to his dad, Nico, who jumped on it ahead of other Dodgers fans. They were scrambling to try to get it. And early the next morning, he had the baseball, and he was actually on a plane with his mom, his mom, and they went on a business trip. He was not wearing his Dodgers hat. He was wearing his Dodgers t-shirt. The flight attendant on the plane asked him if he had watched game 1 of the World Series and if he had seen Freddie Freeman's walk-off home run, and he told the flight attendant, yeah, I caught it. And the flight attendant goes up to the plane, and they went up to the public address system on the plane. They announced that Zach was one of the passengers, the guy who had caught Freddie Freeman's baseball, and the entire plane gave him an ovation. He stood up, they gave him applause, so he had a moment. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing, this whole story with Zach. I mean, this guy going to an orthodontist, he ends up with Freddie Freeman's baseball, and now they're going to put this ball up for auction. On Wednesday, SCP Auctions announced the ball will be up for bid from December 4th through the 14th. So the 4th to the 14th, and they're saying it could catch millions. SCP founder and president David Kohler said the company thinks the sky is the limit for what the auction could bring. They think it could bring 7 figures. Ohtani's ball a couple weeks ago went for $4.4 million. So will Freddie Freeman's ball get worth more than that? Hey, I like the fact that he's selling it, but he did say he wanted to get autographed by Freddie Freeman. Would you keep the ball, Antonio, or would you sell it?
I would keep that. I would keep that ball, my bad, for sure. I would love just to have that. I have a Tommy Lasorda autograph ball, a Mark McGwire autograph ball that I actually threw at me at spring training in 2013. I had my glove, but I still caught it with my bare hand. I just love all that stuff, but I would definitely keep it. But if I caught that Shohei ball, I would sell that.
Well, you're keeping the Freddie, but you're selling the Shohei? Yeah, I mean, it's the only walk-off Grand Slam of the World Series. I think it'd be tough to give up, but at 7 figures, millions, here, take the baseball. Where do I take it? Where do I drive it? Where I send it? Give me the address. Hold Bofa, $199. Is Joe Kelly going to be back in the bullpen? I don't anticipate that. I think that he'll probably get a deal somewhere else that makes sense for him. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. But Joe Kelly will still have murals all around town, man. He's still once a Dodger, always a Dodger. Follow me, X, Instagram, TikTok. We'll be doing shows on the weekend if anything breaks. Down below, let me know about all things Dodger baseball. Anything that you want to see, any questions you have, we'll feature them on next episode. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue.